Shinobi, open your eyes. For the sake of your master.
Hey everyone, it's BlueLizardJello and welcome back to Everything Possible in Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Last time we completed the Hirata estate, at least for now. We took out the Juzo the Drunkard as well as Lady Butterfly, and today we're going to be heading back into the Ashen Outskirts and progressing along the main path. But before we do that, we do have 3 skill points to spend. Not the physical attributes, but the skill points. Now, a lot of people really like Breath of Life Light. This will give you health back every time you complete a death blow, and it is a very, very good skill. For me, however, I want to focus more on the stealth aspect, so I'm going to take the second rank of Suppress. So we have Suppress Presence we've already picked up, and now Suppress Sound. This is going to make it a lot more difficult for enemies to spot us. Excellent. And now, we're going to be heading over to the Outskirts Wall Stairway. And if you remember, it was a couple of parts ago, we ended here with a couple of guys over there talking, a beast at the top of the stairs, and we had this NPC down there that I didn't talk to just yet. But now that we've already been to the Hirata estate, we can take a look at Yama. This is an individual with an eye patch, once again wearing a cloak made of patches. We know that he's a former thief, and now he's a merchant. A former thief turned merchant wearing patches. Patches.
I know you. Yeah. You're that good Sir Shinobi, sir, huh? Well, I haven't seen you since, well, since that night. You don't remember? Oh, I see. You don't remember. Listen, sir, you and I, we've met before. I was a thief back then. But those days are behind me. Now, I'm an upright and honest merchant. Only problem is, I'm broke. And being broke, I don't have anything to sell. So, good sir, would you mind lending me just a few coins to get my business going? I'll stock something useful just for you. You bet I will. And as a little bonus, I'll tell you all about that night. What do you think? Pretty good deal, right?
Now, we are playing on patch 1.03, which for some reason has reduced the amount of send that you need to spend in order to get the information and for Yama to open up his shop. Previously, it was 50 send, and now it is only 10.
Here's some coin.
Thanks, good sir.
Now talk.
Yes, of course. That night. So my gang broke into the Hirata estate. Now, as you're aware, the Hirata family is part of the Ashina. Now, normally they'd mop the floor with petty thieves like us. I mean, no sweat. But it just so happens we broke in during a battle. Yeah. Almost all the young samurai were away from home, and it was a prime opportunity. Then, we started a fire and cleaned out the place. That there's when I met you. You were looking for something. At least, that's what it looked like to me. Well, that's all I know about that night.
I see.
Yeah. That look you're making now. You had that same look on your face that night. You still looking for something? Listen, good sir. For a price, I might be able to tell you some other tidbits you might find useful. For a price, of course. I'm a merchant now, you know, so...
This dialogue raises some really interesting questions. For example, the battle that took place on the night that the Hirata estate was ransacked. What battle was this? Who initiated the battle? And is it a mere coincidence that that battle took place, and at the same time that thieves found out about it, they had enough time to coordinate their attack? Seems a little bit too suspicious to me, but also, who stabbed us? After we killed Lady Butterfly, a sword was rammed through our back, and only thanks to Lord Kuro are we still alive, or are we alive again, I should say, to this day. But if we want to purchase more information for the mere 20 sen, down from 100, we can certainly do that. And we're doing this now because if we do this after we've already gone to the Hirata state and looted a particular item, we'll get a free item from Aniyama. It's nothing to write home about, but it is something.
I'll buy some information.
Thank you very much for your patronage. Since you're a shinobi, I'll give you some information about shinobi tools.
If you could.
Now, I've seen this tube. A tube with fire blasting out of it. Huh? When we broke into the Hirata estate, one of my pals nabbed one. That's the sound the fire makes when it blasts out.
We get the Flame Barrel Memo, a tattered note written by Aniyama, seems to be from some years ago. Lucrative info number 36. When we broke into Hirata estate, we found a barrel that spewed flame. The boys lit a roaring bonfire with it and made merry with the drink. Must have been a shinobi's tool. This would be that flame barrel that we got out of the fire and turned it into a flame vent.
I have one.
I'll tell you that... What?
I said I already have one.
Huh? Oh. Well, that's a shame. That one's on me.
And now we get some oil. This is the item that you get if you've already collected the flame barrel. Is it worth it? No, frankly it's not, but I'm trying to show everything that is possible. One thing to keep in mind is that events that happen in the past will affect the present, at least to some degree. If we were to kill Aniyama back 3 years ago in the Hirata state, he would not be with us today.
I'll procure some goods with the coin you gave me. Look forward to it, good sir.
In order for him to become a merchant, the only thing we need to do is rest at a Sculptors Idol, or we can just travel right back there. By resting here, of course I can take out this rooster just to be on the safe side. And now he will become a merchant.
I've been waiting for you, good sir. I've procured some goods with the coin you gave me. Go on, buy something.
And he does have some really good stuff for sale. More pellets, ceramic shards, fistfuls of ash, 5 more light coin purses, and the Phantom Kunai. A kunai used by Lady Butterfly that can be used to upgrade the loaded shuriken. I love coming to Aniyama after we've killed Lady Butterfly because we already have an idea for what this Phantom Kunai look like. A ringing sound is heard when the kunai is thrown, and phantom butterflies appear in the kunai's trail. Since childhood, Lady Butterfly had accumulated much experience in Yusui's forest, far from civilization along Tozen Trail. His forest is filled with mist and mystifications, making it ideal for training in illusion techniques. This is an upgrade material for the loaded shuriken that we won't be able to use until much later on. However...
By the way, good sir, I'm going to let you in on something.
All right.
I'm thinking about expanding my business. I mean, who knows when Ashina will fall? It's what you might call a, sinking ship. Opportunity is knocking, you know? I want right now. You tell me that, and I can sell it to them. You're a shinobi. I bet you've got a good ear for gathering information from the enemy. Help a poor merchant out here, huh? Please.
I really wish there was an option right now to pay him any amount of sen to find out why he made that noise after he talked about Ashina being a sinking ship. It sounded like a Murgle from World of Warcraft. Anyway, as I was saying with the Phantom Kunai, even though it's something that we won't be using for a while, I am going to buy it because I have quite a bit of sen on me and it will reduce my sen to near nothing, which makes me a little bit safer in the areas going forward. So I'm going to use 4 of those light coin purses and the 1 bulging coin purse, which will give me just over 3,000.
Greeting, go on.
And now I can buy it again. Won't be using it for quite some time, but it's nice to have on hand.
Until next time, good sir. What do the Ashina samurai want right now? Please tell me when you find out.
So what he's referring to is an eavesdrop conversation that we'll have quite a bit later, and it will elucidate what exactly the Ashina soldiers are lacking. And that way, Aniyama can stock it and make him pretty penny. There is an eavesdrop conversation here. We can either get it just by sneaking up to them, we can get on the branch over there, but I like to go from this side. And the reason is, first off, let's get this spirit emblem over here on the pile of dead corpses. And we have this item by the tree, another pellet. And if we just get onto this rooftop, we can get the eavesdrop, but more importantly, we're going to be able to get the drop on this enemy, who's a lot more difficult than that one.
I don't feel safe with that big bastard just tied up next to us. I'd rather not be gravely injured just before the war begins.
If the worst happens, only choice is to use fire. Fear fire. That's what the Lord said.
What a joke. Ashina sure has a funny way of preparing for war.
More information about beasts with red eyes, fearing fire. And luckily we have oil and we have the flame vent that'll help make short work of that individual, the chained ogre. Now there's another guard up there with a pike. I'm going to leave him be for now and focus on the ogre. I'm not going to show this technique, but an easy way to get one quick death blow is to use a gachin sugar, run up the right side of these stairs, loop around the sconce, and somewhat get behind the chained ogre. You want to stay on this side of the fence, but it will allow you to get a free death blow, and then you only have one remaining. Another option is simply aggro him, run back, hide somewhere, maybe on a rooftop or over there in the tall grass. He will eventually make his way back up the stairs, face over that way, and then you can just hug this left wall and get the free death blow. I am going to do both death blows the quote-unquote old-fashioned way, but we're also going to introduce a new mechanic. We're finally going to talk about resurrection. So let's make sure that we're set up correctly. Do want to have my flame vent, and just for safekeeping, I'll use the firecrackers. I don't need the snap seeds anymore, but I will put on my fistfuls of ash, my oil, and that is actually all we should need for now. So let's just get his attention, have him break free. In fact, you can get some free damage now that I remember it. There we go. Now, one thing that I want to show is that right there. You can grapple on to the ogre during certain attacks. And because we bought that one skill that allows us to attack after a grapple, that works very, very nicely. Let's get him covered in oil. See if we can't bait an attack. There we are. Lots of damage there. And run away. Now, all of his attacks that don't have the perilous sign can be deflected. And one more hit ought to do it. There it is. There's death blow number 1. But now, I'm going to let him kill me. And unfortunately, that wasn't quite enough, so I'll just let him finish me off. And here's the reason why.
Loyal wolf, take my blood and live again.
Lord Kuroro tells us to take his blood and we can live again, just like the knight in the Hirata state. If we use our left bumper, we'll die for good. Right bumper, we will resurrect. So what I'm going to do is I am going to resurrect. I'm going to ignore that tutorial for now. I do want to top off my health, not with oil. There we are. And we're going to talk about the resurrection mechanic here in a moment, but for now, let's finish off the chained ogre. Get some fire going. There we are. Let's wait for the grapple. Get a couple of free hits. Got a good stun there. Excellent. But why don't we actually use the firecrackers just to show that off? Don't get too greedy here. Oh. The reason those didn't work is because he wasn't facing me. And there's a second death blow on the chained ogre. For killing the chained ogre, we get another prayer bead, but we also get a latent skill, Shinobi Medicine rank 1. A latent skill that increases the healing effect of recovery items. Medicinal knowledge is vital for a shinobi survival. Receiving wounds in battle is inevitable. Tell that to the no-hit runners that have already completed the game. The only way to learn such techniques is to be gravely injured time and time again by worthy opponents. This is just flavor text. Regardless of how much you've been hit or how much you've died, or if you've been hit at all, you will get this latent skill, and this will increase the efficiency of our healing gourd pellets and any healing items that we may have. But let's talk about the resurrection. Lord Kuro just brought us back from the dead, at least for the second time that we're aware of. And it's because of the dragon's heritage, that bloodline that Kuro possesses. It allows the ability for one to resurrect immediately after dying. Now, we currently have 2 resurrections that are available. If we take a look down there, look at the bottom left where my health is. You see that circle that's about 3/4 of the way full. If I kill more enemies, that will fill up. In fact, let's go do that. Heal up just a tiny bit. Let's kill this enemy here. Get the death blow on him. Let's pick up our Mibu Balloon of Wealth. We're going to backtrack just a little bit and kill a couple of enemies while we talk about the resurrection mechanic. Because you have 2 resurrections to begin with. The first one is always restored whenever you rest at a Sculptor's Idol. The other one is only restored after you've killed some enemies or performed a death blow on a mini-boss or a boss. The problem is, you can still only use one at a time, depending on how quickly you have to use it after another. So let's kill this enemy here. You can see that the circle just filled up some. Nearly full. Just trying to fill that up. That is taking a little bit more than I thought. But you get the idea. As you kill enemies, the circle will fill up, and eventually it'll become another resurrection. The other one will only come back after we've rested. Here's the thing. We also got an item. Actually, we've collected 2 of them. The bundled Jizo statue. You can only carry one of these at a time. Another one is in storage. But if I were to use this right now, it would completely fill in that circle and I would have another resurrection available. The Jizo statues, they're a little bit finicky. And I shouldn't say finicky, but the process is a little bit specific. If I have the resurrection available from killing enemies, the Jizo statue will not function. That circle has to be incomplete in order for it to work. Also, in fact, I probably should go kill another enemy just to fill that in. Tell you what, I'll be right back. Let me go kill an enemy just to fill it in, because I want to show one thing off. And there we have it. It took a number of kills. In fact, it took probably about another 5 or 6 kills in order for me to get it back. But now you can see that that node is now completely filled in. And notice that it looks kind of like a teardrop. There's 2 symbols. The teardrop means you have to kill a certain number of enemies, whereas the snowflake, which we don't see now because we've already used it, that gets reset every time we rest at a Sculptor's Idol. We'll see that here in just a little bit. But notice that the bundled Jizo statue is now grayed out because that circle is filled in, so using it would not do me any good. Now, while we did a little bit of backtracking, I guess I should just go kill this enemy. I want to show something else that has now happened. Over here in the house, because we have killed Lady Butterfly, the woman and Inosuke.
Mother, until the end. The young master.
Have now both passed on. There is no way to save them. If you kill Lady Butterfly, then they will die. It's unfortunate, but that is the end of their story. Going back to Resurrection, another item that we have picked up because we killed Lady Butterfly is the Sakura Droplet. This is going to give us another node of Resurrection, but not until we come face to face with another Divine Heir, Lord Kuro, or there's one other person, but I won't spoil that just yet. 2 more quick things that I want to show off with Resurrection. As I rest, notice that that second node now appears. So I technically now have 2 different resurrections, one from killing enemies and one from resting at an idol. The problem is, let me kill one of these enemies. If I die here, come on, being far too gentle with me. If I die here and I resurrect, which by the way, there's no reason not to resurrect, and I'll talk about that here in a second, notice that even though I have a second resurrection, it is not available. And the reason it's not available is because I have to kill a certain number of enemies before my secondary will be available. It doesn't take nearly as much to fill the node, but until that black bar goes away, I won't be able to use it. And I still can't use the bundled Jizo statue because that node is filled. As long as it's filled, the Jizo statue is not available. I'm going to reset because I want that resurrection back. There is one more mechanic yet to talk about, and that is Dragon Rot. Dragon Rot is a disease that will only spread if we've truly died. True death is when we either don't use the resurrection or we're out of resurrection and we have no choice but to die and respawn at a Sculptor's Idol. We will address that in a future episode. You see, resting not only restores that node, but it also gets rid of that black bar. If you do have any other questions on resurrection or how it works, please do let me know in the comments below, and I will do my best to address them, maybe even show them off if needed. Of course, here I am talking away, and I'm just taking far too much damage. There it is. I think I will go ahead and use a pellet. And now we're going to proceed. Over there, we've already seen those platforms in that cave before, but we do have a little side section. You can see the tree there. We have that wall. We're going to have to address that here a little bit differently, because if we try to go this way and open the door, it doesn't open from the side. Surprise, surprise. But over next to this opening, we get the Nightjar Monocular, a bamboo tube used to see distant objects. While Shinobi already have good vision, looking through this tube with one eye enables one to see even further. The Nightjar ninja serve Ishin Ashina, guarding the rooftops of Ashina Castle, their sharp eyes on the lookout for any would-be trespassers. Not much escapes the eyes of a Nightjar. We'll be seeing them very soon. Let's put that on the hotbar, and let's see how it works. And it works pretty well. We have another general, guard right with him, rifleman, another rifleman, someone who should be patrolling. There's another enemy on the backside, and right there, that is a guard who is going to alert all the others if they see us. There's a patrol. He has a pot, and he will bang that very loudly and alert everyone else to our presence. So we're going to have to do this somewhat stealthily. Luckily, with that suppressed presence and suppressed sound, it'll make it a little bit easier. Here we have another gourd seed and a ceramic shard. By now, we should know what to do with this. There's the death blow. Now let's get into stealth here. We can just go through the long grass, or if you really want to be stealthy and act like a true shinobi, you can just drop down on this wall. We're going to make kind of a wide arc. We want to get to the one who's going to alert all the other enemies. We have to be somewhat strategic about it. Let's go for this rifleman. Gotta be careful with this patrol. This is unfortunate. Yep. Well, so much for stealth. That's okay. As long as the general doesn't get to us first, we should be okay, because we can always reset this. Let's just go for this guy alerting the others. And at this point, we can reset the encounter if we wish. But I can just drop down here. We have that one rifleman who's still shooting at us. Let's take a look here. There's the general. He's coming slowly. The other guard that was with him is now up here. Definitely want to take them both out first, and then we should be able to get a free stealth death blow on the general. You can hear the creaking sound. That's the sound of a gecko underneath that bridge. Just be patient. Wait our time. Make sure we didn't miss any loot. Okay, so the general's now going. We have the one guard here, though, is very, very close. Oh, and the general who is apparently going to stand post as well. At this point, I suppose we might as well just rush in here. Still need to take care of those other guys. Let's just loop around. Wait for the other individual to be by himself. There we are. Get the death blow for the iframes. And now let's take on the general. One thing that does work really nicely here is the Fistful of Ash. Really quick attack there. Stay aggressive. He does have some really good hyper armor there. There's a sweep. I do want to heal. Good opportunity for Makiri counter there. Now, just like the last general, he is going to try and regain posture. There's one death blow. Let's try using some Fistfuls of Ash. Oh, a little bit close there. See if we can bait another. There we go. Nice jump attack. You can either sidestep that, or you can deflect it, or you can even attack right through it. Makiri counter. And there's the second death blow. So General Tenzin Yamauchi is now dead. We get another prayer read from it. And there you are. So a stealth death blow, definitely the way to go about it. I unfortunately hit the wrong button and climbed up the wall. And such is life. So we get a scrap iron behind him. Now we have two paths here. We have one directly over here, by the way. Let's just jump up here because there is a spirit emblem hiding in the grass. There we are. So we can go on that way, which we will here in a moment. But for now, let's go at least activate a Sculptors Idol. Sculptor Idol, which is just down here. I'm gonna get my loaded shuriken ready, just because, Gecko. No reason to kill him with that. Very easy to kill. But we get a couple more pellets, and directly below here, here is the next Sculptor Idol. This is as far as we're gonna go in this direction for now. In the next episode is when we'll be pushing on. Notice I'm not resting here. I'm gonna go right back up. We're gonna loop around to go to this optional area. This optional area is just that. It is extremely optional because it can be potentially very, very dangerous. We have another Divine Confetti. We picked up 4 of those in the Hirata estate. And the reason there's Divine Confetti is because of this note. Turn back if you value your life. You can't behead the headless. Our swords and pikes did nothing. Anytime a FromSoft game warns you about going forward, it's a good idea to listen to it. I've never been one for good ideas, though. We're going to hook onto this tree, and then right there, that's the ledge we're aiming for. Here's a little trick, and I think I mentioned this early on, maybe even in episode 1. When we jump, we need to grab a ledge by hitting the square or the X button, depending on what controller you're using. But you don't have to time it right. In fact, if I just jump and then hold it, you'll grab on to the first ledge that you run into. There's a few jumps later on where that could be very important. If you thought you had to grab it right at the last second, you've probably found yourself falling time and time again. Here we have a couple more Gachin sugar, and then we can jump all the way down here, no fall damage. But right over there with those trees, right behind that rock is where we saw the snake skin. And we're going to be going into this cave. And even though this is something that automatically activates, when you hear that little chime, look at Wolf's eyes. Look at Sekiro's eyes. They're glowing. And that's what enables our little bit of night vision, or at least vision to help us see in the dark. In this cave is the most formidable enemy that we've run into so far. We're not even going to get anywhere near him. Can't even target him right now, but you can just see his glowing sword and a little bit of outline of his body. That is a headless. There are a few of them in this game, and while they have some things that are incredibly valuable, we are not equipped to fight them just yet. So we come out of this cave, we get a couple more spirit emblems, dip all the way back up, and you can see that we could jump back down onto that platform if we wish, or we're going to take this path, and this is going to lead right on the other side of where we just fought the chained ogre. We have a couple of geckos to deal with. Remember, small animals like geckos, even if they see you, you can get the jumping death blow. Or, of course, if you wish, you can just kill them with a shuriken. We have 2 more Gachin sugar. And then up here on this roof and inside this building, once again, just to give you another vantage, there's a staircase we fought him on. You can see I just got a little bit of poison from that gecko. We have an antidote powder, but we also get a divine grasp. Pot Noble Harunaga offered one of these back in the Hirata estate, so really good, gives you full vitality and restores any abnormality. This is the door that didn't open from the other side. And from here, we're just going to loop back around and do that all over again. We're going to jump back down. We want to go back to where the headless was. We are going to get, well, I said we weren't going to get close to him. We're going to get somewhat close, but we're still not going to fight him. Just jump. Grab the ledge. Take our time traversing over here. I'm really glad there's no stamina system for climbing. That is not something I've ever been into. Dragon's Dogma had it. You also had it in Shadow of the Colossus and, of course, Breath of the Wild. Not really a huge fan of that mechanic. Just too much to maintain. So back in the cave, we took the upper path right along here. What we want, however, is another little cave down below. We're going to drop down, hopefully not get caught. Gonna notice us here very, very soon. And unfortunately, as soon as he does, we start to get slowed down and he starts coming after us, but this little cave is what we're looking for right here. Just don't let him catch up to you. Run, run, run. So inside this cave, we have another outline of a body. We've seen this in the dilapidated temple. And it states, Shinobi escape route. It leads to the demon bell. Face the wall and hug it. And we seem to be in some place completely new with a brand new enemy type. We'll talk a lot more about these enemies here soon, but they're like the geckos. Even though he's now spotted me, if I just jump, I can get the free death blow. Even though I see some loot there, does not open from the side. We'll be back here just a little while. We do get some more black gunpowder for upgrading. Then as we approach the hilltop, we get Senpo Temple. This is the only section of Senpo Temple that we can currently access, but we can get a really good view. Up there is a wonderful item that belongs to an even better NPC. We'll run into him later. There's a really interesting mini-boss fight in that bridge. And then we have this bell. Do not ring this bell. This reminds me of Dark Souls 2, where it said, do not pull the lever. In fact, there was, I believe, 4 developers' messages telling you not to pull the lever. Inviting misfortune is an act of virtue, but only the stoutest of heart could even consider it. So what do? We ring the bell. Sinister burden has now been applied. And with it, we get the Bell Demon, a demonic spirit sealed within the Iron Bell of Senpo Temple. possesses those who ring the bell, strengthening enemies around them. The Bell Demon confers hardship, but perhaps also slightly better spoils. Using this item has no particular effect aside from causing the demon to leave. In other words, we are now possessed with this demon. All of our enemies now deal more vitality and posture damage and have higher resistance to our own vitality and posture damage. So the game just got more difficult. But we get more loot for it. It doesn't impact the amount of sen or experience you get from kills, but it does give you more loot, and it actually increases the loot pool for each enemy. So each enemy, if they only have 3 or 4 items they could drop, now they have even more items they could drop. Really, really nice for farming. In fact, I am going to leave it on for a little while. If you don't want it, however, this is a consumable. We only have one, and if we were to use this, he gets dispelled. In fact, why don't we just use it right now? Burden has been dispelled, but then, if we just ring the bell again, the burden comes right back, and with it, we'll get another Bell Demon. A lot of people, of course you get the pop-up every time, a lot of people are using this to farm, and then anytime they come across a mini-boss or a boss, because it makes them more difficult, they simply use the Bell Demon to dispel it, and then they can come back here at any time for farming purposes. I will be leaving it on for a good portion, if not this entire run, but we can have that conversation down in the comments below. Let's take a look at the travel screen, and let's take a look at the map. Notice how far away Senpo Temple is. That door may have teleported us. It does seem like some of these Shinobi escape routes seem to have some sort of mystical properties, but let's have that conversation in the comments, and especially once we get further on and you can use that other Shinobi escape door. We're going to travel back to the dilapidated temple because Emma will have some new dialogue for us, and we have a gourd seed.
Notice anything different?
Yes,
Like what?
I died. The divine heir's voice reached out to me, and suddenly I was alive again.
So you died, and now you're alive again. So that means it has to do with resurrection.
Resurrection?
Lord Kuro. It's said to be a power of the divine heir's dragon heritage. Those who have been given the power of resurrection. They are revived upon death, repeatedly.
Impossible.
Yes, it is rather strange, and yet, it is happening here and now. Let me know if you notice any more changes. I don't think the power of resurrection comes without a cost.
She definitely has a lot of interest in Lord Kuro's dragon heritage. Just think about that for a little bit while we give her another gourd seed.
Goodbye.
And now we will have 3 healing gourds. But that is going to do it for this episode of Everything Possible in Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. I hope you're still enjoying, and I hope you learned something. And if you did, please leave me a comment below and let me know what you learned. And if I missed something, or if you have your own theories, we talked about a lot today, leave that down there as well so we can all keep learning. But I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.